you can see, the bonfires are burning at Donington, which is quite good actually because it's got pretty cold here. And of course, they're a very traditional site of the festival. Anyway, earlier today, I caught up with Metallica. They're appearing here for the third time, and I spoke to drummer Lars Ulrich all about their brand new album.
We thought we'd be done with the album, you know, 3 months earlier, but just because we're lagging so much in the studio. Obviously, it's timed itself out quite nicely. We've had some few listening parties. We had a listening party at Madison Square Garden a couple of weeks ago. We had one Hammersmith and Manchester Apollo, I guess, last week. And all in all, it's the lead up to this whole thing has been quite nice. But you know, like I said, it's just down to our own inefficiencies in the studio. I thought, you know, we'd finish the record, take 3 months off, go on a promotion tour, then come over and do these gigs. And it's like we literally only finished the record about 3.5 weeks ago still. I mean, you know, Enter Sandman, we had to mix right away so it could come out as a single. You know, we finished the record, I think it was July maybe 14th or something like that. So it's still just over 3.5, 4 weeks. And so they've really turned it around quick. But the last couple of months, it seemed like a total blur, you know. I was, like I said, I was really looking forward to taking a couple months off, but I guess I'll do that when I get old. Thing is, for us in the studio, we went into the studio this time around, sort of open-ended kind of thing, going, we'll just, you know, do this record, and when we're done with it, we'll walk out of the studio. But I think we realized for the first time that this is just as the wrong thing to do as any other kind of shortcomings that there can be. When you have an open-ended amount of time, you just end up chasing yourself around in circles. So having the European Monsters of Rock and all that, it was good because it gave us kind of a cutoff date, and we really had to say to ourselves, you know, this is the last day in the studio, and you know, so we really need that kind of thing, that brick wall for us to work towards, or else we'd still be in there in 10 years, you know, working on the same album.
Now, I get the impression that the songwriting team of you and James Hetfield is kind of like a very intense relationship. Do you think that that contributes directly to the intensity of the songs?
Wow. That's an interesting question. I've never really analyzed our songwriting relationship that thoroughly. It just seems to work better for us that way. A lot of times we try almost on every record to get the four of us in a room, and we'll sit there, and then we'll play some Chili Peppers, and then we'll play some Diamond Head, and then we'll have a few beers, and then that was that day, and then we'll try again the next day. And it's like, after a couple of weeks of this, it's like we're not getting anywhere. And usually when when me and James get into it, there's two of us, we just seem to get our heads down and sort of get on with it a lot better than when we try otherwise. We've made 5 records that way. Obviously, it's kind of working, and so why, you know, fix it if it's not broken?
Absolutely. Now, I'm sorry to have to bring up the subject of the LP cover, but I thought I'd try and do it from a different angle. And the LP cover says to me a lot without actually saying anything at all. Was it generally your intention to strip away the usual rock and roll cliches and just present like 12 new songs without giving people any preconceived ideas or clever titles or da-la-la?
Well, actually I just heard a good one a couple hours ago, so this is fresh in my mind. The real reason the album cover is black is because most people come up and ask us to sign their album covers with black pens. This way we don't have to do it. I heard that from somebody a couple hours ago. I think that's the best one I've heard so far. Well, I think you just basically said it yourself there. I mean, we just wanted to get away from all the monsters and the mascots and all the skulls and all that crap, and you know, the whole decision on the album cover was like, let's have a black album cover. Okay, it took like 10 seconds, you know, and I find myself sitting now in interviews months after this decision and like analyzing it and coming up with reasons why. And when I think back to that day up in my kitchen when I suggested to James, let's just have a black album cover, not have all this crap like all these other bands. I mean, the whole thing was like a done deal in 10 seconds. End of story.
James going back to his childhood and writing from such a kind of personal and emotional point of view. Do you think it was like a voyage of self-discovery for him?
I think for James this time around, a lot of the subjects and the lyrical things the last couple times come from, you know, you sit in your hotel room, you watch CNN, you're reading the paper and you go, oh, here's another turmoil situation that you can write a song about. I think this time around we got a little tired of that and felt that some of the subjects that we'd come up with, James could take and kind of personalize a little more. That stuff that was sort of lingering in him could come out. I think a few things that have gone on in his life, I think he finally felt ready to talk about in the songs and finally let some of that stuff out of him. He's pretty shy of nature, and I think he felt that the best way of letting some of that stuff go was through songs.
Mm-hmm. For whom the bell tolls.
There isn't a single heavy metal cliche on the album. Would you like to think that perhaps Metallica have redefined metal in a more intelligent way for the 90s?
That's a loaded question. I mean, I don't like to walk around and think about that kind of stuff. Obviously, the press, especially in America, like to put that hat on us and say, oh, Metallica is a big social conscious band, and oh, they're so aware, and blah, blah, blah. Most of it comes from more of a desire to avoid the obvious. When you create, it's more fun to try and steer away from what everybody else is doing. It's more of a challenge. It's just funner that way. I think, especially in America, it's getting a little too one-sided. We also have like other sides to us, and you know, we can be the bad boys of rock and roll just as much as other bands that walk around and sort of advertise that all the time. But sometimes I just get sick of oh, they're so, you know, uncliche and so aware, and all this kind of gets a little annoying after a while. But I guess we just kind of like to just avoid the obvious a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. And finally, I believe that you were somewhat reluctant to make the video for One, but you've got Enter Sandman out. Has your attitude towards video changed, or is it just that you're kind of more confident with that medium?
Absolutely. I mean, as far as video goes, it was something that we shied away from for eight years, and now I ask myself why. But we had this stubbornness and this kind of attitude towards a lot of those things, and we just didn't want to get involved. So I'm not questioning it that thoroughly, but it's something that is a lot of fun for me to deal with now, and I think it's another way of getting creative things out of you. If you treat videos with the same control as we do with our own records, there's no reason that it just shouldn't be another great way of getting creative things out of you. And I certainly look forward to making a couple more videos on this record. As a matter of fact, we were just sitting talking about the second video from this record. And so, you know, there'll be a few more, and we're definitely not as afraid of that medium as we used to be.
Yeah, yeah!